What's happening? We are live for now the 6th mock draft. I am happy you're here with us. This has taken a life of its own, man. Things have gotten, I guess clear. Maybe not. Maybe there's more chaos than ever leading up to this thing. It's so unique and weird that we don't know, who the Browns are going to have available to pick at pick 26. And because we don't know who the Browns are going to have available at 26, it gets a little bit more difficult to project these things. So we at the OBR try to present as many different options for what could potentially happen as entirely possible. Before we start, I want to give you a reminder, $1 for your first month at the OBR. Check us out. See if the draft content, film room content, Rumor Central, Ask the Insiders, and the other plethora of great things such as the Newswire, the beat writing coverage are worth your time, and we would appreciate your support. The YouTube channel, please subscribe to this channel and be pinged every time we go live. We are doing, pardon my language here, we're doing a kick-ass draft show. We are going to have myself, Steve is going to be on with us, Jared is going to be at the draft covering it live, and Fred will as well, so we will have content from them on site. We're pretty pumped about it. We're going to be covering the entire draft first day. We'll be there the whole time through the first round, and then a couple hours of the second round, kind of when they're up at pick 59, and then into their third round picks as well. So really pumped and hope you can join us like most of you already do. We'll have all the coverage, all the picks. You won't even need to really watch the live coverage. You can, but we'll be covering all of that stuff. So we're really excited about that. More information will come out. Will come out soon. We'll get an official announcement out there, but if you guys can join us. So I'm going to welcome in our two guests tonight. Well, our two co-hosts, really, OBR faithful, Mr. Mock Draft himself, and Jared Mueller. This is an all OBR feature tonight, guys.
What's happening, folks?
I want to say hi. We got somebody watching from Brazil. Before I forgot, I wanted to say, hey, welcome in from Brazil, man. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, man. I have people listen to podcasts from like a whole bunch of places. I have to look this up. I can't even remember all the time. Germany, hotspot for Browns coverage. So anyway, we got a lot of people joining from everywhere. Browns are nationwide or worldwide. Anyway, we are going to do the 3 different mocks again. Myself, I'm going to have the Pro Football Focus mock simulator up. Steve, you have PFN, Pro Football Network.
Correct. And
Jared from the Picnic Basket is going to have the Draft Network. So we will all 3 be up, and we will all 3 go through our picks again and chat about them, and we'll see where it leads us. So everybody have your simulators up on our end. If there are questions that are good, as usual, on the right side that pertain to what we're talking about, maybe you say, hey, Steve, why did you pass on this guy? You absolute derelict. What is your thought process? I will post that question. Same for Jared. Like, hey, man, what's up with your hair today? Why are you doing what you're doing? Talk to us about that. Jake, you haven't showered in a week. Why do you look like you haven't showered in a week? Those questions are very fair game. So let's do it. I'm going to share my screen, and I will go through my pick first. You guys go ahead and start your engines and start your draft, and let's get this thing going.
Derelict would be the nicest thing I've been called today, so that'd be nice.
On this one, I'm going to update everybody as I go on mine because there is an audio version of this. Early picks that are a surprise. Jamar Chase going to Atlanta, Kyle Pitts would be a nightmare in Cincinnati. I would not like that. Patrick Surtain goes 6, so some weird shuffling early. San Francisco taking Justin Fields as well. Caleb Farley is the second corner off the board. So right now we're sitting at pick 19, and Kwity Paye goes 16 in my board. So it's a little bit of a surprise. Trevon Merritt going 14, a little earlier than he goes. Philly taking Mac Jones at 12, surprise. We're sitting at pick 20 and 19, I should say, and J.C. Horn is on the board. So where are you guys sitting around pick 19? Are you guys all the way through? Let's see what everybody else has up at this point. You're at pick 19 as well. Who's the best on the board?
Yeah, I've got JOK, Greg Newsome, Kwity Paye still on the board. Bateman Bateman just went at 19. First four, actually, quarterback, which is certainly definitely possible. Surtain went at 7. When J.C. Horn got past 11 and 12, I had a thought maybe he'd sneak into trading range, but then Chargers grabbed him at 13. So, yeah, I mean, there's some guys that we could move up for, but I think I'm going to let it run because I do like some of the other guys down here just a little bit further. So I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to just go ahead and let mine run. Okay.
Jared, what do you have? Where are you at?
So I'm at 19 as well. I was looking at 12 as the highest the Browns could trade up. Obviously, relationships are really important. So Andrew Berry had his 1 year over there with Howie Roseman. 13, also Tom Telesco. The Chargers gave Andrew Berry his first job in the NFL. So those are two areas I was looking to possibly trade up. But when we got there, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, and Caleb Farley go off the board. Boom, 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 boom. And so for me, those are three guys. I don't think Farley's going that high, but I definitely those would have been guys that I may have looked to trade up for. But now here at 19, I think Washington is the next place. They don't have a lot of draft picks. They have a lot of development to do. They're just kind of in that rebuild under Ron Rivera. They just need more picks. For me, it's a tough one because Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a guy that I love, but I don't know the value of moving up for him. Besides that, I just don't have a guy here. I like Barmore. I'm just not sure the value of trying to move up to 19 and the value that it would take, not on a mock draft simulator, but in the real life.
Okay, so I am going to share an interesting tidbit. Do you guys have plans for these drafts, or are you just winging it? Much like everything in our lives, Sam, we are winging it. We're just
what would a plan even look like?
We didn't even know which simulators we were using until 2 minutes before air. So,
so we're winging it. I'm going to share mine again to start. I'm going to offer pick 91 and pick 26 to try to move up to 19 to get Horn. So I am going to offer that trade, and I'm going to be pretty aggressive if it doesn't go through to see if they took it. So I think that would be a fair deal for me. Even though I like JOK, I like Bateman, like Newsome. I like Elijah Moore. I like some of the names on the board here. I am more than happy to go get the guy I view as the best corner in this draft at pick 19. So I'm going to go ahead and take J.C. Horn.
And that is absolutely a trade you have to make. It's your extra third-round pick. A reminder, that's the pick they got to let the Saints move up. So it's not as if they gave something significant away. They just moved down. They got this extra third-round pick. So it's not that you just want to minimize the value of it, but to get a J.C. Horn, to get possibly the #1 cornerback just by moving up with that extra third-round pick is ridiculous value, and you just have to do that, I think.
Yeah, especially if it gets to that range. So someone said Horn or bust. Listen, it's not a Horn or bust situation. There's plenty of good players out there, but there's a guy that I think is going to be clear cut the best corner in this draft. I think he's better than Surtain, just me personally. So I don't mind trading up a few spots. Now I'm not trading up to maybe I listen, you can 11, 12, 13 range. You'd have to give up a lot going up from 26, but if he gets to the 19, 20 range, then I'm definitely into to go get that player. So we're over to you. I have made my pick. I'm going to pause. I'm going to get to the end of the first round, and then I will pause it, and we'll start looking at the second round. Elijah Moore goes in the first round. Santi Samuel. JOK slides all the way down to pick 31. God, I'd hate to see him in Kansas City. I would absolutely hate that. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up Steve, see where you're at. Let's see who you pick.
Yeah. Here's where we are. This is the top of the board. Not particularly fantastic. I mean, I like Farley if they're okay with his medicals. Merrick, I have no problem with. Marshall and Melifonwu are a couple of guys that I really like quite a bit. But I got a couple interesting trade offers. I just wanted to throw them up here. This is one. We're only going down 2 spots. The Saints have called. If it's too small for your screen, I'm at 26. The Saints want to come up from 28, and they also want to swap pick 60 with pick 89. So basically, we drop 2 spots here, and then that 89-91 combo would actually turn into a 59-60 combo, and I'd still have 91. So that's. I think I'm going to go ahead and take that, but I just wanted to roll this over and show the other one because it's sort of a preview of what's coming tomorrow. Hoodie called. He wants to come way up. He wants to come from 46 all the way to 26. I don't like the package. I'm not going to take it. But if they were going to come up from 46 and offer next year's 1 or throw in, 46, some kind of change and maybe J.C. Jackson, something like that. If the board is looking the way it is here and I don't have a guy I love, I might have to take that, drop down to 46, get a guy like a J.C. Jackson in my building and still have 59, 89, 91, all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's not what they're doing here. I'm not going to take that one. I think I'm just going to go ahead. I don't see how I cannot drop 2 slots and then pick up 29 slots on the back end. I don't see how I can not take this. So I'm going to take this Saints trade. We run 2 more spots. I'm not trading with the Steelers. They can go to hell.
Heck no.
Not going that far, not going that far. Okay. See, and still, Osai is right there. I like Osai quite a bit, but I think for tonight, just for conversation's sake, I'm going to take Farley and just assume that they're okay with his medicals. Just because I still think, as we sit here right now on this broadcast time, corner is still the #1 spot that they have to attack. And the drop off after that, there's some really good players in the rest of day 2. But if Farley is right, I think this is a steal for him. Obviously, we out here don't have access to that medical information, but it sounds like the doctors are way more optimistic about Farley than they are about Jalen Phillips. So I'm just going to go ahead and take Farley here just for conversation's sake so we can have some different prospects to talk about here.
Well, I think the reality with injuries is it's often hard in the NFL. Either you take them where their talent belongs or they fall ridiculously far, right? Maurice Hurst's heart issue, which is obviously a medical issue. He was a 1st, 2nd round kind of guy. He's down in the 5th round. It really feels like either you're comfortable with it and you're going to take them kind of where they belong, or they're going to fall multiple rounds. And that's why with Farley and Phillips, it's really interesting because those are top 10, 15, 20 guys. So it feels like either they make it there or so many teams have them, off their board or huge red flags that they have them drop down 3rd, 4th round kind of thing. It almost feels unusual in the NFL that those guys are still, hot, mid, late 1st round picks if they have that high value.
Yeah, it seems like, and obviously it's a simulator. It can't be perfect. I mean, that's just the way it is. But if the league is really okay with his medicals, he'll probably be long gone before 26. If they're not okay with his medicals, why would we be the ones to take that chance? But just for conversation's sake tonight, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of it so we can have as many different prospects and different things to look at between the 3 mock drafts. Because like I said, if he's right, I don't think anybody questions that he's a freaking stud. So
absolutely. No, I agree with you. And so for me, I'm down to pick 26. I made my screen a little bit bigger just so you could look at the trades. To be honest, I had no plan on trading down. This trade right here makes that a little bit more difficult. So the New York Giants have called with 42 and 76 for 26. Steven, I think your trade is more in the Andrew Berry kind of thing right now, which is let's consolidate some picks. Let's get some higher picks. I don't think he wants a ton more picks. Maybe next year, maybe some of those kind of things. But this trade is really difficult for me right now to say no to. The other ones, the Bucks are offering a 4th and a 6th. I really don't have interest in quantity over quality. And then the Saints want to move up 2, and they're going to offer me a 7th round pick. So the Saints are not very generous for the Draft Network and very generous for Pro Football Network. I'm actually going to decline all 3 of these just so I can look at my board and show off where we're at. and hopefully make my board a little smaller. So right now we're looking at Barmore, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Azeez Ojulari, Joe Tryon, he's getting a lot of buzz lately, at least on social media, that maybe we didn't think of him as high as maybe the NFL does. Greg Newsome II is another cornerback. We could actually go 3 different cornerbacks in our drafts if we went in that direction. Morig, safety, Jamin Davis, Travis Etienne's not going to happen. So for me, this is actually a very easy pick. I love the idea of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah chasing around Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. I love the idea of in passing downs, you have the 3 safeties, you have him, you have whoever they're rolling out in the defensive line, you have Ward, you have Hill, and then hopefully you have Greedy Williams. Obviously, that's still going to be a need, but you don't get everything. And I want somebody who I know can help against these dynamic quarterbacks, these speedy receivers, the tight ends, all of that kind of stuff. This is an easy pick for me, and there's almost nothing I would do to give the chance that the Ravens or anybody else was getting Jeremiah. So that will be my pick, but I don't know. Where are you guys? I think we all think he should go higher, but where are you guys on him?
I'm more than happy with him. I think he's a fantastic football player that can move all over your defense, and I'd be fine with it. They have him graded higher than Ojulari and Greg Newsome. Then, I don't have a problem with it as long as you have a plan for maybe signing a Steven Nelson or somebody like that. Somebody asked about Farley's age here. Yeah, he's a November birthday guy, so he's right at the edge. He's at the Jordan Elliott range of last year's draft, so he's at the high end, but not a guy that we haven't seen proof that they'll take that player. So. Yeah, I like JOK though. I think he's certainly a fine player. I think you can use him all over your defense, but I do think you got to really kind of from there focus in on a corner secondary help at some point. And I know you're going to. There's kind of like my thought process if they made that decision. I'm going to resume my draft. Only thing I don't like about this one is that you can't see the players left on the board. That's kind of an annoying thing. Greg Newsome slips into the second round. Ojulari on this one slips into the second round. Based on me moving up earlier, I think I'm going to sit still at pick 59. See who's left on the board. There goes Tryon. Let's see who Baltimore picks. Payton Turner right in front of me. I hate Baltimore. They know everybody I want. I hate them. I hate Baltimore. God, should have thought about jumping up. That's the guy I wanted. Son of a gun.
We lost the picnic basket,
I hate them so much.
We lost Payton Turner and Jared's been basket. Exposed. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh God, he is. Man, they pulled the
fell
curtain
down
back.
like between 2 ferns, and you were actually in the White House. That would have been great.
That would have been something, but it's not it. That's a tough place to be right there. I mean,
this is a really tough place to be. Oh man,
you already got your cornerback.
Green Bay's offering something. Do they even tell me what they're offering me? 62, and I could go get something else. I don't know. I gotta look. This is a tough spot to be in, man. I do like Diami Brown a lot. There's a lot about his game I really enjoy. We've definitely taken a corner. Melifonu's there. I like him. I like Milton Williams a good bit.
So, Jake,
who did you take in the first? I forgot, Jake.
JC
I moved
Horn.
up 6 spots for JC
Horn. That's right. Okay. Yeah.
So, Jake, we just talked about JOK. We got Jamin Davis up there. Is that just not something you're feeling even with Horn on the board?
Yeah, listen. I just don't think they're going to take a linebacker early. I just don't see them investing that pick on a linebacker. Javen's he's a fun prospect. I'm so mad at Baltimore. I'm on full tilt right now. We're going to come back.
Jake, you want to cut? Yeah, let's cut to Steven.
Something that we're, because mine's going to be easy. So let's talk about you for a second here,
sure.
Jake. Something to keep in mind with Jamin. And I'm not saying this necessarily rules him out or anything, but not by me. I'm talking about reputable draft minds. You read all of their reviews on him. They all use the word raw, all of them. He'll be 23 this fall. I don't know if that's a first-round guy with this front office. If you're going to take an incredibly athletic, raw linebacker, if that's what you want, I'd much rather, move down and wait until Cameron McGrone's range, something like that. If you're going to be, because he's only 20. If you want somebody who's super athletic, raw, and moldable, I'd rather take somebody who's 20 than somebody who's almost 23. That's not to say, like you said, Jake, that Jamin isn't a ton of fun. He is. I think he's been, from the Browns' perspective, a little bit overcooked. If you were looking at 59, that you could talk me into it a lot easier than you could at 26. It's just something to keep in mind with him.
I mean, I like him. I think he's got some. I mean, as far as like a linebacker that you're going to take, if you're going to take one, right, he's the guy. He's the guy. I mean, I think he's a lot of fun. I just, man. Come back to me. I'm going to make a choice later. I don't know what to do. I'm going to look at it and think. You
behind the scenes, folks. When Jake says "come back to me," he's actually talking to himself because he controls what you see on your screen while we're doing this. Yeah. So he'll come back to himself.
Wow, Payton Turner's available again. What happened? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of behind the scenes, I accidentally clicked the wrong button after I made my last pick and had to start over and recreate the whole trade and everything. So, but here we are. I'm sitting at 59.60. We had 89.91, and remember we traded 89 to the Saints as part of their offer to move up from 28 and got 60. It's pretty simple here. What I'm going to do, since I already have Caleb Farley in house. If Jabril Cox was a year younger, he would make this a tougher decision. And as much as I love Ali McNeil, I know what I'm going to do here. I know these back-to-back picks, there's some really good players here, but I'm going to go this way. I'm going to take Elijah Moore at 59. I'm going to tell Washington to go pound salt in their ass. And then I'm going to take Payton Turner. Partly because I love him and I think that's terrific value, and partly just to needle and get under Jake's skin a little bit. But I mean, that was when I sat and looked at that board right there. There's some really good players sitting there, but those two guys at that value, with already what we think is a corner one in my pocket, I really don't see how I could go either way.
Yeah, we had a question about Landon, the center from Alabama. I mean, the reality is all of his injuries are a problem, but they drafted Harris last year, I think, as that backfill. And they've got some other guys. I just don't think they're going to go that high. They're going to continue to invest more resources in the offensive line this early.
Yeah, I think probably
shift
realistic. 89.91 is probably the earliest, depending on what else happens in the first few picks. And if they maybe make a trade or, sign somebody else in free agency, something like that. But yeah, I would think 89.91 would be the earliest, unless they've met with minors a couple of times. If they absolutely love him and the board falls weird at 59, maybe, but that's a unique set of circumstances that would have to happen, I think, for them to take him that early.
I absolutely agree with you.
Creed Humphrey's still on the board too on my side. I mean, he's Dane's highest rated center too, so that's something I'm considering as well as I'm looking.
Creed Humphrey's a stud.
He is.
He tested like a freak too. Anyway, Jared, go ahead.
No, you're good. And I think the thing to always remember, and this is new for all of us around Browns world, is good teams draft a year or so ahead. Browns fans are used to, we got to draft now, right? Like we need players now, all of that kind of stuff. But you watch the Ravens, you watch the Steelers, you watch the Patriots. They're drafting guys behind to come in who can still, they can use them, but that's not their role in year one, but year two and year three they are. And that's really what makes them good year after year after year. That's why they can go 8-8 with Duck freaking Hodges, is because they're really developing guys and they're understanding the system and all that. So there is a place for, again, here a Creed Humphrey. I'll be honest, this is a little struggle for me. Those have been around with me for a while. Gregor Rousseau was a guy that I really was kind of not pound the table, but really interested in at 26. His testing and more film watching has me not out on him, but he reminds me a lot of a Bud Dupree, who he got his sacks, but not for any not because of what he did, but because of a lot of other things. So for now, Rousseau is going to be tough for me to pass here at 59. I just got to get that out of my head. And the rest of this board is kind of like Jake's, where I'm just not feeling it, to be honest with you, until I get down here. And a player that's going to be really interesting to a lot of people, we've talked about him in a variety of ways, and I think he's going to fit what the Browns want to do, is Milton Williams. I think he's a player that can play outside, that can play inside, that can do a lot of different things. And right now, with who they have, I think Milton Williams, while he is not a pure edge guy that's going to be a, bend the edge perfectly and all that kind of stuff, I think he's a player that fits what they want across from Myles Garrett, as well as the versatility that they want. And so while he is someone we may have talked about in the third round a month ago, I think he's someone who is going to get second-round consideration. And given my desire not to trade, today I'm going to add to JOK with another athlete and another player I think can help against those top-level AFC teams with Milton Williams, who they have as an interior defensive lineman. I think he can play edge as well.
Okay, so you guys are through pick 60. Steve, did you pick two guys? Your 60th pick? Okay, yep. So tell me who you have so far. You can click on your
I have Caleb Farley, Elijah Moore, and Payton Turner.
All right. Well, you already win. Jared, you have JOK and Milton, two guys.
Yeah, I'm going to already lose. Like, Jake, you're getting second place here. I don't even have my picnic basket anymore, much less people who think this is going to be a good draft, but I think it's good.
But also, like, these things don't all. Steve's not the best in the world. Okay, stop kissing his butt, everyone. He's okay. He's not great.
He can just pronounce people's names and remembers random facts about them.
Yeah, and look at my outfit. Chicks dig me, man. They do. The women go crazy.
Look, I have hair.
Hey, I got snow on the roof, but it's still there. All
right. Okay,
Jake
I'm gonna
not want to make this pick.
I don't want to pick. If the board falls this way, and at this point, I think Jamin Davis is fine. I think he's a good enough player at the spot he's at 59. I know this would be a little bit out of the box for them, but the athletic profile is fine. He's a test guy. He did produce. I do think that he could be a good long-term linebacker for them. And, some people have him going in the first round for good or bad, whether you believe that or not. So I would be okay with it. We'll take him there, and then we'll sim through to pick 89 for everybody. So I'm going to take him. I don't think this guy's playing with one leg. Like, he's going to help your defense. He's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, and he will help with doing some things that they need to do defensively. So I'm taking him there. The reason I didn't take Miami is because I like some wide receiver values that come up later. And listen, I'm up again, and I got a safety that I really like. I'm going to make this pretty simple. I'm going to take Jamar Johnson. I was hoping he would fall. God, no, I'm not going to make it simple. Son of a bitch.
Well, and even, Jake, as you kind of meander through your own mental capacities right now, Steven and I actually have talked about this, is there's a part of the wide receiver group that makes it really, really difficult for us, because it's like, yes, I like this guy. I like Bateman in the first round. I like this guy in the second round, but I could get this guy in the third round, or I can get this guy, value. That is a really hard kind of place to be, where you like certain guys and then you think value, and then we get really, really greedy. Not the cornerback. We get really greedy, like, yeah, but I can get this guy in the third or fourth round and then get this guy in the second round. We get so greedy where it's like, the guy's there, get your guy, feel really good about it. But then again, you can get Milton Williams at 89 where I got him at 59.
Listen, boneless wings are not chicken nuggets. Stop calling them that. They're not. Stop. I'm tired of it. They're not chicken nuggets. I'm not getting them.
They might not be chicken, though.
Oh, man. Get out of here. Whatever. I'm taking Milton Williams. I didn't think he'd last, actually. I think that's a bigger in terms of the long-term play with that prospect. I think Milton Williams is, and I know you got him a little earlier. I think he's the type of rare testing athlete with his film came on so well. Bro, Jared, listen, they're not chicken nuggets. Stop. I respect you. You throw a hell of a throw. You got a hell of a right arm, dude, but your chicken nugget take is wrong.
I mean, he's got a great first name, too. Like, let's just be real. I was like, wait, what did I say? What did I do?
Let me see the safety board real quick on my side. The Divine Diablo. I like Hamza's still there. There's some guys I like. I don't think there's going to be an edge prospect, interior D line, the kind of hybrid that is Milton Williams. I think he's a good pick at this spot. So I'm going to take him here. So I have J.C. Horn, who I moved up for. So I do not have pick 91. It went to Washington, moved up to 19 to get Horn, and then took Jamin Davis, who I will lose, I guess, my left arm for taking because some people are very mad at me, and then I took Milton Williams. The people love me. You guys make me better. I love doing these. They're so fun. They're so fun. Steve, who'd you take?
Yeah.
To answer, we got a question from Payton. Did we get one more next week? Yes, we will. I think we're planning to do it Wednesday night, right?
Yes, we will do a Wednesday night episode, a draft eve episode.
And will that be the official Steven and Jake mock draft?
It'll be the one that we're predicting exactly what's going to happen.
And then put all your bets in after that.
Right, exactly. Yep. Yeah, we've been holding back. Yeah.
All right, everyone's happy with my Milton Williams pick, so I'm back. I'm in. Just like that, you guys pulled me back. Woo!
Couple of guys that are interesting. First, I want to throw this would be interesting if not for the guy that I'm going to take. Here's the trade offer. I don't know how many people can see it. The Chiefs want to move up 3 spots, 94 to 91. And in return, they're willing to flip 5th and 7th round picks next year. Now, that's the kind of future assets move that would make sense in a lot of situations. I mean, you're moving up 2 rounds next year, getting a much more tradable asset, plus a place where you could find a player from only moving down 3 picks. But I'm going to reject it, and I'm going to show you why. This guy right here. I think because that's obviously who they're going to move up for. I really don't see.
You drafted with a bunch of Madden players. What's going on here?
So, I mean, there are a couple other guys. I flip over to the defense here. Tuipulotu is very interesting. Hufanga, I think, is just about perfect for that rover role, that hybrid rover role. And I like Ellerson Smith. Mentioned Cameron McGrone a little earlier. He's coming off the ACL, so I'm not sure. But in the end, it's really not that much of a decision at this point. I'm taking Holland and I'm running. And this is 91. I didn't have 89. Remember, we swapped that out early. So that's it. Okay.
All right, let's hit your icon if you can, so we see your draft real quick, and then we'll go to Jared.
All right.
Yeah, Javon Holland is ridiculous.
Farley, Elijah Moore, Payton Turner, Javon Holland so far.
You're gonna win, champ.
Whatever. Yeah, he just picks the easiest ones. Whatever.
He really does. And then I get to mine, and I'm over here like, thank goodness I'm last, so I can just stress my way through all this because I just don't like where I'm at. Like the reality
you're a nugget test, Sam. You're a nugget test.
At least he doesn't eat his steak well done. So for me, this is actually going to be this is really difficult and interesting with these 2 picks because, I'm just going to be very honest. I live in Miamisburg, Ohio, down in the Dayton area, and this young man right here, Josh Myers, is from Miamisburg, Ohio. Is a great guy and an amazing family. Know them, not great, but I know them well. I know a lot about them. This is a really difficult one because I do think in the 3rd round, this is a place where getting your center of the future who can bump out to guard, Harris can be at center, gives you a lot of versatility, is a tough decision for me. But I want to look at cornerback. There are a couple options here that I like. I am intrigued by St. Juste. I like Elijah Griffin at USC. Later in the draft, I might like Sean Wade as an interior guy. There's just a lot here that I don't like about just the board in general. I'm not even sure. And I actually want to, ask Steven, as you look at all of this, is there anything in this junk that like jumps out to you as likely? Because Hunter Long, I can't pronounce him. Is there anything good here, old man? As you stare at him, I can make it bigger for you.
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with Myers at the value there. Keep going.
Yeah. St. Juste is too old.
Yeah, he's outside. Hunter Long is interesting, and I think I saw just after I think personally, I think Tufele is too low on this board. I think he's being slept on, but he opted out, and he had a lot of stuff that people wanted to see him improve on this past year. He had potential, but needed to be more consistent. So there's a lot of projection involved in that, and we still don't know how anybody is going to look at the guys who opted out. How is that going to affect them? I have no idea. But I mean, purely from a value standpoint, I mean, Myers was what, 70 something, and you're at pick 89, right? I mean, that's great value right there. So.
And I just, for me, it was just to make sure, and I get lost in some of the age stuff. So Josh Myers is my pick at 89. The Rams want me to trade down. I have no interest in an extra 6th-round pick, so I'm here at 91. And here is again where, to be honest, when we look back at picks, one of the tough things was Paulson Adebo was selected with the 85th pick. That would have probably been my pick there at 89 and let risk Myers falling, because that would have been kind of that corner that I'm looking at. And so needing a corner, this is where I'm going to, from their chart, their value. I like Elijah Griffin. I think he fits some of the things that the Browns may want to do. And to be honest, looking at where I'm at so far, I need a cornerback. I want a cornerback. And I might be reaching a little bit here with Griffin, but that is something I'm okay to do a little bit with. I do have some interest here with Marlin, with Hunter Long, Tufele also, but I'm going to go here with Griffin. I'm going to get a USC guy one way or another. So we're going to Elijah Griffin. So my picks, again, Griffin, Myers, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Milton Williams, Josh Myers, Elijah Griffin is what we have filled out on the Browns through 3 rounds.
Okay, let's go back to me. I am up. There are some names I really like here. I still Jamar Johnson, or it could be, is it Jamar or does he go by Jamar? I'm not sure on that one. Let's check it out. Thanks for the help, guys.
Oh, that was for us? I thought you were asking the crowd. There's 144 of you at least.
It's Jamar.
I think it's Jamar.
Yeah. You guys are just sleeping, and probably is Jamar. Josh Palmer's interesting. We posted our interior offensive line big board rankings. Steve, you and I both had Kendrick Green very high. We like him. Jalen Darden, Kay Johnson are fun prospects. Bobby Brown's an interesting prospect. I do like Tommy Tremble, Notre Dame kid.
Sorry, my prerogative. Can we draft Bobby Brown so I can post my prerogative videos?
As much as you want. Let's do it. Reminder, my prerogative. I've taken Milton Williams. I selected the Antichrist linebacker, Jamin Davis, and then I moved up to 19 for J.C. Horn. So I am sitting with corner, linebacker, and then an interior / rotation outside freak athlete. I like at this spot. I have talked about this. I texted Steve last night about it. There is some uncertainty to me about what they're doing down the line at safety, because essentially Ronnie Harrison's on the end of his rookie contract. He's a year 4 guy. Who knows what that contract year looks like? He could be gone. You're all presuming that the Grant Delpit comes back and it's just Grant Delpit again. There's a long road to recovery mentally and physically with that Achilles, and I don't think he's back to being a guy they even count on until maybe mid-season. So I think they need more safety help, and I think Jamar Johnson can be a really nice, different varying piece that can fit with the future and the immediate. So I'm going to take him at that spot. If you did not go back and watch his tape against Ohio State, he was a dominant player in that game. A very good football player.
The other thing with Delpit, if I can jump in real quick, is not only is he fighting back the injury, but he's a rookie. I mean, we all know what we think Grant Delpit can be, and we're pretty confident that he's going to be that guy, but we don't know. He could be nothing. I mean, we really don't, him and Greedy both, we really don't have any idea what they are on the field for nothing for Delpit. So not only are you counting on a guy who's coming back from, I think I said ACL, I meant Achilles, but you're counting on basically a rookie and just saying, okay, yeah, he's there. He's a stud. Put him in there. We don't know. So grabbing another safety, I think, is definitely not off the board.
Okay, good stuff. Let's go over to you, actually, and see where you're at.
It's fallen like crazy for me. I mean,
are you serious? You've got Hufanga?
I've got Hufanga. I've got Ellerson Smith. I've got Andre Cisco. I've got ISM. I mean, it's fallen like crazy here for me this time, which I'm thrilled about, to be perfectly honest. The one thing, I don't have anybody on the interior yet. I'm not a Shelvin fan. Bobby Brown's interesting, but I don't know that I can pass up some of these other guys here for this. So yeah, I think
if you don't take Hufanga, Mike is flying back and he's going to find you.
Yeah, he always threatens to fly back from Hawaii, but he never does it. So I'm not really all that worried. Yeah, it's either Hufanga or Cisco, and I think I might be leaning a little bit more towards Hufanga at this point, and here's why: because I just took Javon Holland, who's a free and slot hybrid type. So if we wanted somebody to do the free safety stuff that Cisco does well, the center fielder type stuff, he can give us some of that. We do not have anybody to play that hybrid rover, other linebacker role, whatever you want to call it. And Hufanga can do that in spades. I think he's built for it. So I'm going to go ahead and take him here, even though technically it's back-to-back safety picks. I think we're probably looking at Holland more of to do more in the slot than he does, and then do some safety stuff, if that ratio makes any sense. So I'm going to take Hufanga here, and we got ourselves we have turned the defensive backfield on the coverage unit from a question mark into a potential stronghold here before we reach pick 120.
I like it.
That's a lot of talent there, and you got to plan long term. You also have to think special teams, right? Is that's a lot of players that can help out on special teams and can do a lot of things. So we do love that. So we get to mine again, and again, this board is just crushing me. It has no love for me at this point in time. I'm not really interested in doing this anymore. Steven, if you can you got Trey Wingo online, obviously, because he's hooking up yours. The bad thing is the Draft Network, those are my people. Like, I broke bread with a lot of those guys multiple times in Indy. Those are my people. And this board is not falling in a way that I love. But going back to looking at where we're at with picks, we got JOK as the linebacker, Milton Williams, both inside, outside defensive line, Josh Myers, long-term interior offensive lineman, and then Griffin as our cornerback. And that really leads me kind of where you ended up, and that is that Andre Cisco role. It's fitting to what he does and what Grant Delpit we want him to do at times. I just think, again, like you with Holland and with Hufanga, adding more safeties that can do multiple things, I feel really good about. I know a lot of people, as I'm getting McNeil or Alum yelled at me a few hundred times. I know a lot of people like him. For me, I like defensive line, but if I have to pick, I'm always going to pick coverage. I have really fallen on that bandwagon that PFF has, that coverage is always more important than pressure. That doesn't mean they're both not important. And we are going to go with Andre Cisco here. That's a good pick. It's great value too, especially if he's healthy. Absolutely. I mean, listen, they need to get him more disciplined, right? Like he is all over the place. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. And can they rein him in just enough? And I think that's where a John Johnson is really valuable if you bring on an Andre Cisco.
Okay, we see your draft up, JOK. You took Milton Williams, pick 59. You have Josh Myers, Jared, at pick 89, the center guard. You have 91, pick Elijah Griffin, the corner from USC. And then you took Andre Cisco at 110. I am up again. I am going to – there are some interesting guys on the board here. Jalen Darden's kind of interesting. I'm not blown away by him, and I'm not blown away by what he would do with this offense. Trey Brown runs really well. A guy who I think might be somebody they're pretty interested in here. Simi Fehoko, which is a testing freak of nature wide receiver. I just got some questions about his ability to consistently catch the football, so I don't like the value there. David Moore, Grambling State, Browns mock. I know you love him. I, though, am going to go with Trill Williams here. I like Trill Williams partly because he's a freak of nature testing guy, but he has a ton of experience in the slot which is, I think some people don't really know that. He was a nickel for them more than anything else, and I think Troy Hill is a 1 year to maybe 2 year guy. Trill has some safety experience. He has obviously slot corner experience. So I feel pretty good about taking him here. I still want to address edge and wide receiver at some point, but I do think they're going to double dip corners, and I think getting another guy comfortable playing inside, who again was on Bruce Feldman's freak list. This guy is a fantastic athlete. I think Trill Williams makes a lot of sense there, and I did not want to see him go to somebody else. So I am going to give you my picks later because I don't really feel like going back through them, and PFF does not let you quickly find them. So we're going to go back to Steve with his next pick. Where are you at, Steve? You're also pick 132. Who you got?
Yeah, 132. I would also like to double up on corner, so Ambry Thomas is sort of interesting here. But I think I'm going to do something a little different. See, here's the defense. Tony Fields is interesting. Gillespie, I think, is underrated, but I've already taken 2 safeties. I know some people like Sherwood in a different situation. Him or Wallow or somebody like that would be interesting. Divine Diablo, same thing. But I think I'm going to switch over here. A guy that you just talked about, because I think this is low for him. I know technically a guy ranked 163 being picked at 132 is not really all that good value, but this is the lowest that I've seen him. All the other boards are much closer to the start of day 3, and I think that's more his range. And you want to talk about, as we've been talking about all night, the future of the interior offensive line. I mean, we've got Wyatt Teller's contract coming up. JC's over 30. Joel is approaching 30. I mean, they don't need to do anything. They might not make one pick on the offensive line this whole draft. And if they do, it's totally justified. Or they don't, it's totally justified because they've got Drew Forbes, Nick Harris, the kid from Alex Taylor, a kid from South Carolina State. They've got a ton. They got some guy named Blake. I mean, they right now have more offensive linemen in the building than will make the 53. So if they don't make any picks on the offensive line, totally justifiable. But especially the ridiculous way that this board has fallen for me and everything that we've hit, I think this is a wise pick right here because he can play guard. He showed at the Senior Bowl that he can play center. He's nasty, and he's a perfect fit for this scheme. So that's my pick, David Moore out of Grambling State.
That's because you think you're going to get voted the best draft no matter what now, so you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a cheerleader also, next.
This comment from Stan, I just couldn't agree more with. Just talking about how hard it is to do the mock that I'm doing to come out with good results. It just speaks to my perseverance. It speaks to my earnestness.
Your 30 for 30 is going to be interesting, Jake. Yeah.
It should be noted. I don't know. It's just something that we should pay attention to. All right, let's go over to Jared. You're up next on the hotline. Who you got?
All right, so for the first time, I actually like some of the options I have. I'm higher on Marvin Wilson than most people are, as Steven vomits in his mouth a little bit. Hufanga is there. So again, at 132, I'm looking at value. Andre Cisco is my, deep safety kind of guy. Hufanga does a lot of things Steven's already talked about. I do like Sean Wade as a slot corner. He was overvalued when he was first round, top 10, top whatever that people said, but I do think he has a lot of talent and again could develop there. And so there are some guys I like. And then somebody Steven and I talked about, I hadn't spent a lot of time on ISM before this afternoon, to be very honest with all of you. And so I'm liking what I see there. And so this is actually a difficult place for me because I have a lot of guys that I like, and I would love to somehow pick up a couple extra picks in here so I could get 2 of these guys. That is just not realistic. So then it comes down to who I think is going to have the most impact and who can fit into what I want and who I would hate to lose the most. And as of today, at least, because I get kind of, like most of us, we like our new things that we're spending more energy on. ISM has really drawn my attention there at 132. I think that's a good place to pick him. So I am going to get a wide receiver who I'm learning can do a lot of things vertical, all of those kind of things, and I'm liking that. So here I am. Yeah, there's actually a lot of value here finally for me. Chuba Hubbard is someone who I like as a zone running back as well, but ISM will be my pick as I add a little bit of offense to more defense in my draft.
All right.
So we're looking at a wide receiver, a couple defensive linemen or defensive backs, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, and then a safety linebacker hybrid. And I think all of them can make an impact pretty quickly for the Browns.
I would agree. I like your draft so far. I am up again here. There are some interesting names still on the board. I like Kunze from Buffalo, but he's just – I think he's going to be too old for the what we believe to be the spectrum number there for their guardrail. I do like a guy, sleeper guy here. Yeah, I know, man. Ron talking about the board. It's not great, Ron. It's not great. I'm making
Hey,
the
if you
best
guys
of it.
could heckle Jake a little bit more, that would make my life a little bit, more enjoyable.
Yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, a couple guys we talked about on our tackle list, Tommy Doyle, Jack Anderson. I do like Tommy. I have my eye on a specific edge who I think is too low in Pro Football Focus's rankings. Let me see if he's still even available. God, is he available? Let's filter positions, go down to ED. I am going to take – did he get picked? I'm going to be really annoyed if he got picked.
I think the Ravens got him a couple picks ago.
If the Ravens got him, I swear to God, I'm done. I'm quitting. God dang it! Miami took Ellerson. I hate this draft. I hate it. I hate it.
Jake's board is boneless.
Listen,
Sam. That's a good one. Yeah.
Jake's board is boneless.
Get that off the screen. I could potentially go with the theory that the Browns need one player whose last name starts with Ogun every year. Ogun Deji, Notre Dame, who was a guy that Jordan Reed from Draft Network mentioned could be a fit for the Browns. I don't know. I'm in another one of these situations where I thought a guy was going to be there who's not there, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, that sucks. Come back to me. Steve, you go.
All right. Well, for the first time here tonight, it's not glaringly obvious what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to actually make a decision. I love Josh Palmer if he falls this far, which I don't think he's going to, but I already took Elijah Moore, so doubling up on wide receiver doesn't seem smart. There's some interesting names. Tony is interesting. Some people like Marvin Wilson, Zach McPherson if he was younger, Kylan Hill if they decide to go running back. I know they met with Darius Stills, and I don't have an interior guy on the defense yet, but there's two that I'm going to decide between here, and I'm going to go show who they are. There, Janarius Robinson, I think, as your second edge in this draft class, because he also has some inside-outside versatility, and he's huge. I mean, he's big. His physical testing, his profile is fantastic. So I think getting him in a rotational, early, developmental kind of role, especially this late, I think would be fantastic. The other thing I'm thinking about is this guy right here. Tight end it's kind of the same in the same board as this same category as the safeties. This year they're set. We know that. We know who they are, but we don't know what's going to happen with Njoku going forward. We don't know what Harrison Bryant is yet. And Austin Hooper, after I believe next year, his contract is up, and who knows if he'll be brought back. So again, getting out early, drafting guys 2 years early, especially at a very slow developing position like tight end, might make some sense late here. And I think McKitty's being very undervalued. I think he's very, very good in both aspects of the game. But I think as much as I love McKitty, I'm going to go back over and just keep building a massive defense. I'm going to take Janarius Robinson here as a developmental edge guy with some inside capabilities. We're not counting on him. I wouldn't want Robinson to be the only edge, the one guy that they bring in to count on this year to contribute as a rookie. He may explode. I don't know. He's got the physical talent to do it, but I wouldn't want to count on that. But if they've already got one, like I did with Payton Turner, I think bringing him in as the next guy it makes a lot of sense, especially if they can get him at this value.
All right.
Yeah, Krupka's liking those older guys this time.
Yeah.
So when we get to my board, I'm going to make it big again. We actually get to exactly what Steven and I talked about offline and then a little bit here is I get a couple wide receivers that I'm interested in, but I just picked up ISM, but I like Josh Palmer. I like Josh. I'm not pronouncing that last name from Illinois. So, I'm in these positions where I don't have room for 2 wide receivers, right? And so while I would love to add, some players that I like, it's just not realistic for me to do that here. And so unfortunately, I kind of lose out on that where, yeah, man, I would have done something different up there if I knew Palmer was going to be available to me here. But you get that when you're making these decisions. Instead, I'm going to double up at cornerback with a player who I think has all the physical tools, may not have that kind of nastiness, may not have the kind of the technique that we want at this point in time, but a player who can help out, and that is Marco Wilson. I think
Aaron comes on with this every time and mentions players from my high school days, just so you guys know. I have to laugh.
Okay.
Every time it's so well done. It's just something I only laugh at, but it's pretty funny. All right, so who'd you go with?
So I'm going with Marco Wilson. I just think he's a developmental cornerback who can do a lot, and can give them some reps, can play on special teams, and can develop under time under Joe Woods. Okay,
I like it. I am back to my pick, which I am going to take. I think you had him listed in your top 5, Drew Dahlman. Steve, I think you had him. I like him a lot. I know he's a top 5 center for Dane as well. So I am going to take Dahlman. He's right at the edge of the age spectrum. He's a little over 22 and a half. Will turn 23 in season, but I like the pick here to strengthen up my interior O-line for the future with a really respected player, a good player. I am going to hope – oh, boy, this is moving so fast. All right, I'm going to see if the Chiefs want to let me move up to pick 211. I have 211, 257 for 181. I don't think they're going to accept that, but I'm going to try to move up to cap off my draft. They did let me do it. I'm going to go get an edge that I think has slipped a little too far in some of these. I think Patrick Jones has some 4-3 starter capability someday. Dane grades him as a round 3, round 4 guy. I agree with that. He's got flaws, don't get me wrong, but I'm taking a shot on a guy here who I think could potentially be down the line. Again, another guy, 22 and a half-ish, who down the line, Patrick Jones body type stuff. He didn't test some of the things because of left hamstring injury. Can eventually help us as an edge guy. So I went in that direction. And that means I am not going to end up taking a wide receiver. So shoot me. Okay, whatever. We'll get one next year. Go get Garrett Wilson. Anyway. All right. So my draft is done. And I will go to Steve, who you have some more picks.
Yeah, I still have 2 more picks. It's interesting. Vincent was talked about as maybe an early day 2 guy early on in the process, and then he opted out. Blazing speed, but small. There's Imador Bebe, who's outside the age guardrail, as is Fehoko and Cornell Powell, as a matter of fact. There's a few guys here, but I'm gonna, since we've been on for a while, I'm gonna speed up the process. I'm gonna take a guy that I think is undervalued on a lot of boards. Where did he go? There he is. Darren Hall, San Diego State. He's a cornerback. Some people have him listed as a safety. He does seem to play better with the action in front of him, so maybe that's why, but he played a lot of corner for the Aztecs and did it very, very well.
Good player.
Yeah. Young. He's not yet 21. Very athletic, a lot of production. I don't know why he's so low, but I wanted to double up on corner, and this is my guy here. At post pick 200, I think it's just tremendous value to get Darren Hall at that spot.
Mm-hmm. All right, I will come back to you, Jared.
Unfortunately, I did something, I don't know how I did it, with when TDN sometimes when you do trades and don't do trades. So at 211, I actually had a trade ready to go. I am trading my 211th pick to the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, for next year's 5th round pick. So that was a trade that I had set up. Unfortunately, when I went back to try to get it ready for the mock, it didn't allow it. So unfortunately, we got to cross off the 211 Carson Green offensive tackle because TDN did something funky for me just as you were coming my way. But instead, looking at the board, I just was not in love with where I was and who I already had. And so instead I want a 5th round pick, and I think the Las Vegas Raiders are terrible, and they're not going to be very good. And so that is, unfortunately, I messed up for this presentation. But at 211, I have traded that pick, 6th round pick, to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 2020 5th round pick. They were going to accept it. The freaking bar was green, but then I tried to do something funky and it didn't work out. But we do not have a 211th pick in the 2021 draft.
Way to go, Jared.
Screwed it up.
All right, back to Steve. Let's finish yours out. 257. And then I got a good question for us next after this.
A couple of spots from the end of the draft. You know, you could do literally anything you wanted to do here. I'm going to go ahead and just take a guy that I have been in love with since last May. I'm going to take Zach Davidson from Central Missouri. He's 6'7" tight end. You watch him play against, you know, the smaller school kids, and he looks like an older brother playing with younger brothers. Also a great punter, if that matters. But I'm going to go ahead and grab him here. You know, if nothing else, a 6'7" target in the red zone is Baker would probably like that. So.
All right, let's talk real quick about this question. If the Browns were to trade a pick for a current player, what would be the most likely player? What do you think it would cost? I think Steve's going to throw out an interesting proposition tomorrow on the mock, not to spoil it for everybody who reads these every morning, but I think if they were to go get any player, it would be a corner. Talk about your hypothetical corner trade, Steve, real quick.
Yeah, it's just everybody's been talking about Gilmore from New England, and that might still come to pass. Where there's this much smoke, sometimes there's actually fire. But the fact that they haven't inked J.C. Jackson to a long-term deal yet just feels funky to me. So if you could get when they slapped a second-round tender on him, we had the discussion, I think, on Twitter or maybe even on the pod. I would trade him 59 for J.C. Jackson in a heartbeat. But if you can get him in some kind of move up or move down situation, get them to include that instead of extra picks, it might be interesting. I'm not really all that sure that J.C. Jackson is actually on, the market. I don't know why he would be, but the fact that they haven't inked him yet after the couple of years that he's had for them, I find it interesting and funky, and you never know with Hoodie what he's going to do.
I agree. Jared, any thoughts on that? Or you think you kind of agree?
Yeah, I think we're looking at a cornerback. I think honestly the addition becomes bringing Sheldon Richardson back, because you're looking at that kind of veteran type of player. So I think that's probably more likely than a trade, but you never know. There are so many trades that we don't think about looking back, like, oh, those happened during the draft and after the draft. So I think it's a great question. I think the NFL is in such an interesting place, with the Eagles being an example of a team that's in transition. And there are a variety of other teams that either are going to be going for it that aren't very good or moving back. And so I think there's a lot of possible players. Unfortunately, with the draft and so many players, it's hard to focus on both at the same time. It's like trying to juggle 500 different things, and my brain can last with like 10. So I don't really know exactly right now who might be on the board, but I wouldn't be shocked if Andrew Berry has some things lined up, for a late pick, already set up to go and say, hey, we're going to spend a little money here to get this exact guy, whether it's a J.C. Jackson younger guy or that guy that they can have for 1 year and trade a 6th-round pick for.
I like it. We are going to show each draft now. I went and took the opportunity. J.C. Horn slipped down to 19. I didn't want to let the simulator go even one more pick, even though the Redskins probably wouldn't have selected him. I did want to move and make a move and take him there. So I moved. Pick 19 is what I received, and I gave up one of our extra thirds. Pick 91, took J.C. Horn, who I view to be the best corner in this draft. Pick 59 came. Listen, Payton Turner was gone at 58. I'm really still sad about it. I took Jamin Davis, who I think he's a good football player. I know he's a linebacker. I get it. I still think that if you're going to invest in a linebacker, 2nd round is not a terrible spot, and you still get a hyper-athletic player at the position who I think can develop into – I can be fine when the season starts, but he can keep developing, and that's the type. Took Milton Williams when he was there. Jamar Johnson was there at pick 110. I felt great about Trill Williams' versatility there at 132. And listen, it's not like PFF doesn't have – is Jamar Johnson like their 47th player on the big board? So I don't know. Maybe he got a speeding ticket. I took Drew Dahlman as a nice center guard hybrid type, and then I took Patrick Jones as the development age kind of borderline age guy, but I think he could be a fun 4-3 type D end to take late in the draft, see if he can develop into a rotational player at some point. So that is my draft. I will say one thing. It is okay to not take a wide receiver in this draft, in my opinion. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think their wide receivers are set for this next year. I still think they're going to have wide receivers they like the following year. They might keep Richard. They might keep Odell. And then you can draft what should be another good wide receiver draft. So it's not the end of the world if they don't take a receiver in this draft. They probably will, but it's not the end of the world if they don't. Let's go to Steve's, which is just a great draft.
Yeah, the trade. I told you I had to rebuild it because I accidentally restarted over. The actual take that first out there. I had to put that in there to get it to go through because I accidentally screwed up and had to start over. The actual trade was 28 and 89, or 26 and 89 for 28 and 60. And so at 28, I got Caleb Farley. We assumed, obviously on the assumption that his medicals will come out okay. At the 59-60 combo, it fell about as perfect as it could possibly go. We got one of the best wide receivers in the entire draft. We got Payton Turner at the edge, who I think we all just love. And then another crazy fall, Javon Holland at 91. Turned down a pretty good trade offer from the Chiefs to get him as a free safety slot hybrid. Hufanga in the rover role and depth at all of the safety spots is a great pick there. David Moore getting out at least a year ahead of the needs on the interior of the offensive line. And then the last three picks, Janarius Robinson, I think is a guy that he has the physical skill set to way outplay that draft slot. So I think taking a shot at him in the 5th was good. Darren Hall, the same, very young, very athletic, good player. Won't be counted on immediately, which is good. And then Zach Davidson's just a guy that I like. He's super athletic. He's very intriguing. Anytime you can get a 6'7" guy that runs, I think he ran under 4.5 or right around 4.5, I think. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So you get him in and see what you can make of him. I'm pleased pretty much overall. I don't see how I could not be. It felt pretty crazy.
Notorious B hater, Steve.
Very much a B hater. He needs to know about the birds a little bit. All right, we get over to mine, and to be honest, not my favorite mock draft, but as I continue to look at it, I can always talk myself into a lot of things. I think JOK is a difference maker. Don't care his position, know what he can do on the field. I think he allows the Browns a ton of versatility. Heck, he can be the 4th safety on the field. He can play slot. He can just do so many things that the value of that is just so large. And given everything else that was available there, felt like he was the best pick. Milton Williams gives that versatility. I got him here at 59. Unfortunately, Jake was then able to get him at 89. And Jake was able to get credit from somebody. I told you I'm going to be 3rd in this one. Josh Myers, just like Steven, looking for that guy that can be there down the road. And to be honest, that interior of the offensive line is so important for Baker Mayfield, a little bit shorter, all of those kind of things. I don't want to leave that up in the air. I want a guy, and Josh is 6'4", 6'5". So he can play center, big guy, but keep his center of gravity down, and one of the nicest guys off the field and a monster on the field. Griffin, cornerback, goes along with Marco Wilson down there at the bottom, giving the Browns some outside cornerbacks with some size, with some length, with some physicality at times that I think can really help the defensive backfield if Greedy Williams is not healthy, help on special teams, which is so important when we get down here into the 3rd and 4th round. Andre Cisco, he's a risk taker, but he can play that deep middle of the field. He can do a lot of different things. He can move around. And then ISM gives you that deep threat. It's somebody I like. And then I added a 5th round pick for next year because I didn't want to keep that 6th round pick. I didn't want to add another player just to add another player. Instead, I wanted extra value to do something with. So I have the Raiders 5th round pick, and I don't think they're going to be very good this year. So that was a value for me at that point in time.
To answer your question about JOK, I think he is. I think he doesn't have the size, and maybe he didn't run in the 40. I think a lot of what Simmons' freak value was when he ran like a 4.38 or something like that. I think people overlooked that Simmons was only a comfortable guy when rushing. Like that's where his most productive efforts were at Clemson, and got addicted to a clip where he was running the route for he jumps a outside release takeoff against Ohio State that Justin Fields kind of stared down, and people were obsessed with this idea he could be more than what he was. I think JOK has much better film. I just think he does a bunch of different things really well, and his film is it speaks a higher level of football player to me initially. Now maybe the testing and eventually what is the athlete of Isaiah Simmons becomes more down the line, but I think JOK is every bit as good, if not a better prospect coming into this position. Another question that popped up: are the Bengals crazy to not go O-line at 5? Listen, if the Bengals don't want to protect Joe Burrow with guys like Penei Sewell, who I think are going to be really – I think Penei Sewell has a chance to be a generational tackle. I just think he's that good. And if they want to pass on that to go get Jamar Chase, cool, fine, do it. Look at Joe Burrow's knee scar and tell me you should pass on guys like that. And it just is silly to me. It's just silly. And people get this thing – it's hilarious to me where they'll rag on Baker about, well, he has the best offensive line. Well, that's great. And that's the way every quarterback should play, behind a great offensive line. Don't punish people like they make it harder than it needs to be. I'm sure in the Super Bowl, Pat Mahomes wished his offensive line was just a little bit better. So, shut up, man. Shut up. I know Joe Burrow loves Jamar. I know the connections there, and I know that wide receivers are but it's like, God, there are a bunch of good wide receivers in this draft. And I know that it's a relatively deep tackle class too. I haven't studied them because I don't think the Browns are interested in anybody in the first 2, 3, 4 rounds there. But to me, it's like you should definitely be trying to – Jared's got something playing in the background. Listen, I just think they should take Sewell, and I think it'd be silly if they don't. So
it's interesting that a lot of people are, at least on Twitter, that do some analysis are looking at Slater as a better player than Sewell. I think that's just recency bias, to be honest, because Sewell sat out.
I'm with it. I think he's special, man. And I just, if they want to pass on him and keep running the gambit and let Miles, and listen, especially when you look at this division and you say Cleveland's a perennial contender for the next fight, and they just signed Clowney. They got a bunch of, they're going to continue to build the pass rush. It's like, why would you risk that, man? So listen, they want to do it. Cool. We'll see in a week now. So this will be fun. Guys, we are going to take all 3 mocks. I'll put them on Twitter again. So fellas, make sure you send me a screenshot of your mock draft. I'll post all 3. You can vote on them. You can make fun of us. You can do whatever you want to do, which is what you do anyway. You make fun of us. So I had fun. These are 3 good mock drafts. We'll do it one more time on Draft Eve, Wednesday night of next week, and then you can join us for the entirety of round 1 on the OBR's live draft show. It's going to be a blast. So we're really looking forward to it. It's right around the corner. We had about 170 people for the most part of this thing hanging out, which is just fantastic output of people that are interested in this thing. And you guys in the comments were really great too. And it's always fun. It's just a fun thing to do, a fun thing to talk about. So guys, appreciate you again. We will check in next week for this next mock draft. I'll be back again tomorrow with a guest around 8:30 again. So we will catch you guys then. And as usual, go Browns.